let's talk about writing equations in slope-intercept form. So that is your y equals mx plus b, where m is your slope and b is the y-intercept. Remember, that's where the line is crossing the y-axis. So here the first example says, write the equation of a line that has a slope of negative 2/3 and passes through the point negative 6, 5. So what I'm going to do to first start is I say, okay, I have y equals mx plus b. I know that my m is negative 2/3. And I do see that I have a point which represents an x and a y value. So what I'm going to do is substitute the information that I have into the equation. So instead of writing y, I'm going to write the number 5. Instead of m, I'm going to write negative 2/3. Instead of x, I'm going to put a negative 6. And then I'm going to keep my plus b because I want to solve for the y-intercept and put it together. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is calculate. I've got negative 2/3 times negative 6, and that gives me a positive 4. So this just became 4 equals 5 plus b. I want to solve for b, so I'm going to subtract the 4 from both sides, and I get a 1 equals b. So now I do know that my equation is going to be y equals negative 2/3 x plus 1. Okay, I will show you the other way that you could do it if you wanted to use the point slope form to help you. So what I'm going to do, I'll just move this over so I have a little more space so I could just show you the other option. What you could do is, we know our formula, y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. Okay, I could take my coordinate and say, okay, y minus 5 is equal to negative 2/3 times x. Now, since it's minus, but it's a negative 6, that's going to become a plus 6. And still we want to get it to look like y equals mx plus b, but what I could do is just distribute this. And I have y minus 5 equals negative 2/3 x. And this will give me a minus 4. And then I'll just add the 5 to both sides, and look what happens. You get the same thing, y equals negative 2/3 x plus 1. So either way that you want to work on this question, you will end up getting the same answer at the end. Let's take a look at another example. Write the equation of a line that has a slope of 3 and passes through the point 2, 5. So let's start off with our regular y equals mx plus b, and then I'll show you the other way as well. I'm going to substitute. It's going to be 5 equals, my slope is 3, my x is 2 plus b. 5 is equal to 6 plus b. I subtract 6 from both sides to get b alone. I get a negative 1. So now I have y equals 3x minus 1. If you prefer using the y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1, and remember those formulas will be on the reference sheet, so you don't have to memorize them. You can still plug in y minus 5 equals 3 times x minus 2, and then just distribute. So I've got y minus 5 equals 3x minus 6. Add the 5, and you get the same answer of y equals 3x minus 1. Okay? Now we look at a multiple choice question. What is the equation of a line that passes through the point 6, negative 3, and has a slope of negative 4/3? Okay, so the goal would be to get y by itself in all of these, right? So for example, in choice 1, I want to divide by 3 for all of these. So now I'm left with y equals negative 4/3 x plus 5. Okay, and so I want a slope of negative 4/3. So that's looking good so far for choice 1. So now what we could do is plug that into our y equals in the calculator. So negative 4/3, negative 4/3 x plus 5. And when I go to the table, I'm going to look and see, is this point in my table? And I'm going to scroll down until I get to the 6. And we see that 6 is with negative 3, so choice 1 is my answer. So first step here, we want to get y by itself. and then check the table of values. So in case choice 1 was not the answer, you now know the process to do for the future. All right, next one says, which equation represents the line that passes through those points? So we do need to get a slope and a y-intercept. So I need an m and I need a b. So recall our formula, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So, and I like to label x1, y1, x2, y2. So my y2 minus my y1 over x2 minus x1. Be careful with your minus signs and your negatives as well. Okay, so -2 minus 8 is -10. 4 minus -1 is 5, which simplifies to a -2. So choices 3 and 4 are out for that reason. So I now know my slope is going to be a -2. And then what I'm going to do is just substitute it in. So let's pick a point and just plug in our values. So I'm going to do y minus 8 equals my slope times x minus -1, which remember we said becomes a positive. Okay, I'm going to distribute. So I've got y minus 8 equals -2x minus 2. And then I'm just going to add the 8 to the other side. Y equals -2x plus 6. So that is going to be choice 1. Okay, there are a couple of different ways that you can answer these questions. So don't feel like this is the only one. It's definitely a possibility where you can put all of the equations into your y equals and just look at the table and see which also has the 2 points in case you're stuck and don't remember how. That might take a little bit longer, but definitely a possibility. And now we've got finding the y-intercept. Just some practice with this. So what is the y-intercept of the line that passes through those points? Recall, y equals mx plus b. We're looking in these questions for what is that b value. Okay, so I've got my y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. I do need to find my slope before I can even find the y-intercept. Okay, so that's going to give me a -6 over a 3, which is a -2 as your slope. Now we're going to plug it in. So it doesn't matter. We'll do one of each. Y equals mx plus b here, and we'll use the other formula for the next question. So I'm going to pick a point. So I'm going to say, okay, 5 is equal to my slope times my x value plus b. So 5 is equal to 2 plus b. Subtract 2 from both sides to get b by itself, and 3 is equal to b, which is our final answer, choice 3. Okay, again, if you prefer using the other formula, completely fine. That does not matter, it's up to you. So we do one more. Find the y-intercept of the line that passes through those points. So we do need to find the slope of them first, x1, y1, x2, y2. And I'm going to have y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So that's going to be a -2 over a -4, which ends up giving you a positive 1/2. So we will use our point slope formula. I'll just write it here for you to recall. All right, and now I'm going to pick a point. I prefer using the point that only has positives in it, but it does not matter. So I've got a y minus 6 is equal to my m value times x minus 2. I'm going to distribute. So I say, okay, y minus 6 equals 1/2 x, and now half of -2 is just -1. Add 6 to both sides. Y equals 1/2 x plus 5. So what is the y-intercept? Your b value is equal to 5. Okay, pros and cons to using both formulas. It's really up to you what you prefer, but I wanted to give you some examples using both so that you can pick which is best for you.